Soldiers, what is something you wish you had known before joining the military? Story 1. Don't trust everything your recruiter tells you. Look up info on your own and bounce questions off of them. I did and got stuck as a laundry specialist for 4 years. Oh, and color vision can affect the jobs you can get in the military. Let me give some details on my story. I wanted to join the Army to do cool Army stuff. Plain and simple. I was a junior in high school when a recruiter called out of the blue and told me about the split option. The split option meant I could go to basic during the summer and come back to finish up high school. Only thing was that I had to join the reserves and pick up a non-combat MOS. The recruiter told me I could change my whole contract after I got back from basic. That was the lie. So I signed up for any old MOS, which ended up being 925. Shower, laundry, and clothing repair specialist. So I go off to foot sail for the summer. When I got back, I went to the recruiter station. My original recruiter moved on to his next duty station, and when I asked about changing my contract, I was told I had to wait until I was 18. A few months go by and I'm an adult. Go back, rules change, have to wait 2 years. So I go to AIT and become a 925 and report my duty. I asked about changing my MOS and got no help from the poop bag full-timers. So I was stuck as a stitch itch for 4 years, until a sister unit let me join them and reclass to deploy with them. Now as for color vision, I found out I was red-green colorblind when I went through MEPS and thought nothing of it. Mistake on my part. I learned later that due to my colorblindness, I was unable to do all the cool Army stuff that I originally wanted to do. So no combat MOS, no specialty schools, no freaking nothing. Never did a single freaking thing I wanted to do in the Army. It ended up being a big waste of time. I'm gonna stop typing because I'm making myself angry. Just do me a favor, if you're considering joining the military, remember my mistakes. And don't get fricked or frick yourself over. I don't know much about this subject, so I can't say for certain, but I've heard a lot of stories of recruiters just straight up lying to get younger people to sign up. So like this guy said, definitely do some of your own research into things. As for colorblindness, that's something I've never thought about in the Army. That must have been pretty hard for you to hear, especially after waiting for so long. Story 2. Volunteer for nothing. Especially if they're looking for volunteers for a course that on the surface sounds amazing, but when you look around, you are the only one with your hand up, and suddenly you're cleaning some poop for someone else. Recruiters lie. It's a number game to them. Iraq was about oil. If you are a skinny 10-stone 18-year-old expected to carry 100 pounds of kit, your knees will feel like a 50-year-old's by the time you're 25. A uniform doesn't guarantee success with chicks. You aren't harder than a bouncer after 6 months training, aren't an expert in all things military after a few months in the job, and you aren't a hero for simply volunteering to be in the military. Basically, be realistic about who and what you really are. It's the Navy and the Air Force that get to see the world. In the Army, we just get to clean it. There's plenty of time to join. Didn't really need to join at 18. I could have gone to uni, traveled, had positive experiences, and then joined to become bitter, twisted, jaded, and disgruntled at the state of humanity. You matter to your friends and family, to your platoon and company, maybe to your battalion, but to the wider military, you are just a number. A tool to be used and discarded. The mission comes first, and your pity butt problems come second. You become different. Your entire viewpoint on everything from spicy time to politics, to morality, to notions of comfort change drastically. You will come to despise certain character traits and types of people. That's honestly really sad to hear, and even more sad when you think of just how many military men and women this has affected. Story 3. Danish Army. How civilian life feels after. Don't get me wrong, civilian is a frick ton easier than what I ever had to go through in Army, but no one ever taught me how to readjust back to how everyone else are. But when you're in the Army, you become mentally adjusted to a way of life, and while that life might be very challenging, you almost always know what it brings, or you are trained how to meet any eventualities. No one ever trains you how to meet life. No one can do that. The Army manages to put a very structured personality into you, and then when you get out a few years after, no one else follows that structure. I still remember a day 7 years ago at business school, during a group 72-hour exam where we'd all agree on stuff to do during the night. Now it was 2 a.m. and we were to meet at 7 a.m. But when we met again at 7:16, I was really ticked by the 16-minute delay. I couldn't really understand the guy when he told me that he was too tired to do it and just wanted to cuddle with his girlfriend. He might as well have said those words in Chinese to me. I literally didn't understand the guy. My mind had been so adjusted that everyone around always would do what they were told, or they would tell me that it would not be possible before that. I had gotten so used to every person not working the same way as me that I forgot it. That if they would be tired, they would tell me immediately, not tell me embarrassed later. Too long didn't read. There is a very direct way of communicating that happens in the military. You very quickly become accustomed to that. And after that, you have to learn the hard way that that's not how the rest of society works. I'm pretty sure that I still don't understand it, but at least I'm trying. The military really needs just a good readjustment program for soldiers. After being in combat or even just training for so long, it's very hard for people to snap back into how their lives were. You'd think after all the reports and movies and whatnot, they'd understand that they need help after service. Story 4. First, save every scrap of paper that you receive. Make a binder that includes copies of all your orders, certificates, important documents, evaluation reports, medical information, etc. Have copies of everything. It seems like overkill, but paperwork goes missing all the time. Second, if you are sick, go to sick call. If you get paperwork from the doctor, keep a copy in your binder. If you get hurt, go to sick call. If it's severe, make sure you get a line of duty paperwork. Each small injury might not seem like a big deal, but after a few years, they add up. You do not want to be 30 years old with the joints of a 6-year-old and no paperwork to back up your history. Third, if you need mental health treatment, go to mental health. Stop caring about what other people say. If you need help, go get it. Fourth, speak up for yourself. Be your own advocate. Not everyone else has your best interest in mind. If you don't think something is right, voice your opinion professionally. Fifth, don't be afraid to volunteer for cool missions and opportunities. Being able to control some aspects of your career feels pretty awesome. Search around, go on forums, check opportunities, network, etc. Sixth, go to school. Actual school. Don't let the military convince you that the University of Phoenix is your end goal. Do whatever you want to do so you have the skills when you leave the service. Use your GI Bill. Those are really solid tips, and I hope anyone considering joining, or heck even people that are already in service, get a chance to read this. Story 5. 2 things from a former 19 Delta Cav Scout. Recruiter equals liar. If it's not in your contract, you're fricked. I dang near maxed out my ads fab and could have had any job I wanted. Similarly, I could have had a choice of duty station and or airborne. My recruiter told me all of that would happen after basic training. Half my guys from basic got one or both. Those that didn't get lied to. The recruiters are under tremendous pressure to get you in. Your interests are secondary. I grew up poor without healthcare. Every dentist I ever went to said that I badly needed braces. Every single army dentist or orthodontist said that my teeth were fine and didn't need braces. Military medicine is not as good or comprehensive as civilian medicine. You get the minimum. I am glad I joined and served overall though. Shouldn't military medicine be on par, if not better, with civilian medicine? Like, these are the people risking their lives to protect us. Why would we give them less? Story 6. First, the bigger the military base you're at, the lower your standards just got. 10,000 extra dudes means a girl you used to date is now out of your league. That a one-night stand is now girlfriend material. And you do not want to know how far down you'll have to go for a one-night stand now. Next, research the job. I recommend calling a private recruiter who specializes in placing ex-military personnel in civilian jobs. They'll know the best jobs to go for. I'm an engineer, but my brother makes more than me based on his Navy nuke experience with no degree. The only pro skill I learned in the Army Guard is how to really kill people with rockets. That skill could be put to good use though. Don't ask me where though, cause I don't know. I'm just trying to make the best out of the situation. Story 7. Former Marine here. You'll be treated like whoever the lowest common denominator in your unit is. If that dude is a frickhead that gets arrested every other weekend or some stuff, get ready to waste literally hours of time attending Don't Be a Frickhead training mandated by higher authorities. Also, enjoy your tobacco addiction, especially if you're in a Victor unit. You feel so darn old and weathered going back to college with your GI Bill after enlistment. This is legitimately what it feels like, and you're only a couple years older than them. You'd think they make training just a little easier on you so that this doesn't happen. But then again, I know why it's not, but still. Story 8. The military is unrivaled at creating and fostering leadership. Unfortunately, most of the best leaders can do some basic math, realize how valuable they are in the civilian world, and hightail it out of there as soon as they can. On a more positive note, it still blows my mind that I'm entrusted with the beating heart of a billion-dollar warship. And that drive the thing like you stole it is the normally encouraged mindset to have while doing so. I highly doubt that I will ever get to do something this cool once I get out. After reading all these, now I just want to enlist to drive a huge warship. Or do you think there's a chance they'd let a normal civilian do it just for fun? No? Okay. Story 9. Know that when you join, your life is owned by the government. It's fairly obvious, but when you actually experience it, it can be pretty surreal. Doesn't matter what you want. All that matters is what the government wants from you. My old man was terminally ill, and trying to get home was a nightmare. If I had been a civilian, I could have just quit. I have had a good career with the military. I'm releasing in the next few months because that has started to really bother me. I would imagine it'd bother anyone. If he's terminally ill, what use would they get out of him? Just let the poor man go. Story 10. Accountability. If you're sick, you notify your fire team leader or squad leader. If you don't, not only do you get in trouble, you get their butt in trouble, which in turn will get you in more trouble. In addition, save every bit of information you're given, because it may one day save your butt. It could be a signature for an order, acknowledging your SIQ, anything that will get you might get questioned for doing something or not being somewhere. See, that'd be pretty easy for me as I save loads of pointless stuff I do not need to keep. Story 11. Should have done ROTC and finish up college instead of enlisting. I tell this to every person who has a kid or brother wanting to go in. Never listen though. Brush me off like I'm an idiot. Go to a 4-year college and join ROTC. I graduated as a lieutenant. Make $40K a year. By the time you're 32, you'll be a freaking major making $100K a year. Or enlist and make 20 to 30K and hit a dead end. Why on earth would no one listen to that? Whoever does is so stupid. How can you turn away that kind of money? Story 12. Most of sniper school involves a lot of math. There's nothing glamorous about being B4. Most of the time you're waiting around in the heat. It's nothing like the movies. All the people in books that say they can remember the faces of everyone they've shot are full of poop. The big one, not only can you not smoke, you can't use tobacco in any form. Good luck if you're another nicotine addict. Well, I guess that'd be one way to get people to quit though. Story 13. You can learn to live with PTSD much of the time, but no one can help you forgive yourself for what you've been or what you've done, except yourself. When you're out, you can get help, but you have to be the one that takes the opportunity. Help doesn't come in 12-ounce bottles or pint glasses. Remember, it normally doesn't build up all at once. The cure doesn't happen all at once. I feel like everyone can overcome stuff like that. They just have to be the ones to take the first steps. It's hard, trust me, I know, but once it's started, it'll be as easy as running downhill. Story 14. How very, very likely you are going to be irrevocably hurt doing the things you do every day. That's how most people get hurt, in fact. For me, it was PT. I had a knee repair, a shoulder repair, stress fractures, a hideous staph infection, the list goes on. Story 15. If you see combat, especially real combat, not a day of your life will go by from there on where you don't think about it. It will go away when you're busy or preoccupied. But when you're just sitting there, lost in your thoughts, your mind will be back on the battlefield. It's draining. Having to live through something so awful and then having to randomly relive it day in and day out is a curse I'm very glad I don't have, but feel very awful for those who do. Story 16. I've never been to prison, but poop. I have to imagine that deployments are dang near close to it. Bored out of your freaking mind, getting swole at the makeshift outside gym, counting down the days surrounded by dudes, and every now and then some a-hole tries to kill you. When put like that, they do seem pretty similar. Story 17. That you may be experimented on and threatened with jail time if you don't comply. See mandatory experimental anthrax vaccine soldiers at the beginning of Operation Iraqi Freedom had to receive, which caused all kinds of ill health effects no one is talking about. Excuse me? They do what now? Story 18. A lot of posts about the other 4 branches of the US Armed Forces, but no one is mentioning the Coast Guard. Great duty stations, great missions, always operating in some capacity, whether search and rescue, law enforcement, pollution response, etc. Story 19. That if you deploy, there's a good chance your marriage will fall and your SO will leave you. Also, I wish someone would have told me to get in shape before I joined. All that running sucks if you're not used to it. I've seen the marriage bit happen and it's terrible for everyone involved. Story 20. Fellow women military people will back this up. See civilian gynecologists. All military people will back this one up. See civilian dentists. Still a shock to me that we don't give the military the best doctors we can offer. Story 21. I wish I had known how important my hearing was. Story 22. I wish I had joined the fricking Air Force. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more videos to come, or else this spider will be in your bed tonight.